Hello guys, welcome to another video on the Photoshop Made Easy series, and today we are going to be talking about layers. Layers are one of the most basic things in Photoshop, and understanding layers is going to help you understand almost everything. Designing a flyer without knowing layers is something that is going to really not help you. Photoshop would have been like Paint, the Microsoft Paint that we all started using when we started using computer. Or if you've not started using it, it's just the software I'm talking about. Paint. With Paint, whatever you design or whatever you draw goes down there. So for instance, if I draw this shape, I change the color and everything, immediately I move to the next shape. I cannot come back to the former shape again. The only thing is that I can only select and move, and that's it. I cannot do much editing to the first shape again, or the shapes that I've already placed down. So you see, it makes work difficult, but I was just to explain things to you here. So with that one, work is always difficult doing it, but with Photoshop, layers is what makes it unique and what makes it more advanced. And other softwares also have the layers, which is really helping. So when you first open Photoshop document or even an image, you have the background here. So with a new document, the background, the color is always white, and with a picture, the background color is always, or the background gives you the image itself. You see, the background here is what? The image itself. So with this, to use it, you cannot do any editing on this layer because it's locked. It's the background and it's locked. So for instance, if I take the move tool and I'm trying to move it, what they'll tell me that the current layer is a background layer. You cannot move a background layer or change a stacking order, blending mode, or opacity. So you cannot do any changes to it. So we have the stacking order, blending mode, opacity, which we are going to learn here. So you can only convert it to a normal layer in order to use. So if I convert it to a normal layer, it has been moved. And to another way to unlock it is just to click on the lock icon here, and when you click on that, you've moved it. So from there, I can just move it here. So it's now like a white layer. So when you move it, you see a checkerboard here, or a chessboard with more squares than a normal chessboard. So with this one, that shows transparency. So with that one, when you export your picture with that there, it's transparent, nothing shows up there. So you can change how it will look, how transparency should look. You can change it to even white for your transparency to look white, but it's not advisable. The norm is that we use this one. So when you go to edit preferences, which I showed you earlier, you can do that editing, but for now we just leave it this way and lock. So I said there was something called stacking order, but before them, you can rename your layers, which is always important. Renaming layers helps you to what? Identify what you are working on. So this will name it back as background, and let's draw a new shape on top of it. So we have this rectangle to draw. To have a square, you click on the shift, but a normal rectangle is over here. So let me change the color to blue, then leave it. So we have a rectangle here. Let's add a text, horizontal text. Okay, so this is the horizontal text. So we have two layers. So if you check at this place, you see that there are different things altogether. So this is what we use to control the layers. It's called this is the layers panel. So with this one, whatever the editing you have to do on the layers are summarized here, but to have them more, you can also have them on the menu up here. So you have the menu here where you use it to work on layers, and all that is also summarized here in a form of simple tools. So with this layer, you realize that this is on top of this. So if I happen to move the text over the rectangle, the text is shown on top of the rectangle because the text is stuck on top of the rectangle in the layer panel. If I move it down below the rectangle, you realize that the part of the text that was with the rectangle has gone behind. So the rectangle is not on top. So we have the rectangle here, which is on top, and we have the text here, which is below. And we have layer types. We have the rectangle, the shape layer, which this one is called rectangular layer. We have the text layer, and a whole lot of layer. We have the image layer and other types depending on the tool or the shape you use. So with this one, the rectangle is on top of the text. So if I move it back, this one is on text. So depending on the positioning, it tells you what is what above the other. So that's the stacking position you saw earlier. And we have something to call, so let me take this one below. We have something to call the blend mode. So the blending is to show you how to blend it. So mostly if we blend colors or we blend shapes. So let me select the shape tool, that's the rectangle, and blend it. So when you go to dissolve, the difference is not that much. It's just like the normal. When you go to darken, you realize that you see the text on top, but the text is not on top of the rectangle. What you are seeing here is that you are seeing the text through the rectangle. So there is some kind of difference between the text and the rectangle there. So you are seeing the text through the rectangle. So when you change the blending mode to multiply, it's likewise to linear color bend. Okay, so the first thing, to get it easier, let me change the text color to red, and I'll go back to the rectangular tool. So with the color, the darken, because it was black, that's why you didn't see the effect that much. But with this, you realize that this one, you are seeing the text through the shape. Color bend, multiply. Okay, it's almost like the darken here. Color bend, you are likely not to see any difference. So you can use the scroll wheel to change them as it goes. So we have the color light linear bend, darker color, lighten. So this is the lighten effect on it. So you don't see the other part of the rectangle except what is on the text. We have the screen, we have color dodge. So you can just play with them around. We will apply them when we are designing flyers or when we are doing posters. So that's just the blending side. We have the opacity. So the opacity shows how transparent it is. So when it's on 100, it means that it's full. It's not transparent. Transparency is very low here. So when you move it, the lower you send it, the more transparent it becomes. So you see that the text is becoming clearer here. And you can move it to 0, but it's not an advisable thing to do. If you don't want the shape to appear, the better way is to click on the eye here and the shape will be hidden. Okay, and we have the fill. So when you reduce the fill, it also morphs what is inside. So the fill deals with what is inside, the color of the inside. So if I was to add a stroke to the rectangular shape, if I added a stroke there, so with this is a stroke. Let me change the color of the shape itself to black. Okay, So with this one, the fill changes, the effect of the fill is on the what? The inside of it, and the stroke is nowhere to be. So I can put fill as 0 and you find that the fill is empty. And back to 100 and you have your normal shape. But with the opacity, the effect of the opacity is on the fill and the stroke combined together. So that's it. And other features on the layer panel is we can lock layer just like the background was locked. So to lock a layer, you click on Control slash, or better still, and to unlock is the same Control forward slash. The other way is you just come here and click on lock, and you've locked it. So you cannot move the background to you cannot move it. You can do nothing to it. So it's just there static at this position, and everything is locked. You can also, we have conditional lock in it. You can lock the transparent pixels in it. So if they are transparent pixels, that's what you lock in there. You can lock it from being brushed upon. So when I lock it from being brushed upon, I can move it though. But when you take a brush to, you cannot what? Brush on it. So could not use brush because the layer is locked. So you cannot brush on it. So I've locked the brush aspect of it, but I can move it. So if I lock the move, if I also click on the move, so let me remove the brush. If I click on the move, I can brush on it though. I can brush on it, but I cannot move it. So you see the difference here. Conditional what? Locking. And we have artboard from being an artboard. So it's just whichever way you want it, but lock gives it a total lock, locks all the features that can be applied on it. And you can unlock it as well. And when you come here, when you're working, there are many layers you can be working with at a particular time. So with that, you might find it difficult identifying or searching for a layer. So to do that, let me just duplicate this layer. So to duplicate a layer, you click on Control J. So I've duplicated it 3 times, and I'll just move them across here. Let me change the text. So how I went out was Control Enter, and you commit it, as Git people will say. So here I'll just leave here as Yapzor. Okay, so I think this is okay. And the rectangle too, let me duplicate it. So to duplicate a layer is what? Control J. Or you can simply come to the layer and just right click on it. Go to duplicate layer. And you type in the layer name and voila, you are good to go. So this is what you have here. So if you want to get a particular shape or a particular type of layer, we have the kind here. So you can just click, when you click on image, it gives you only the image layer. So all the other layers, you cannot work on any of them. It's only the image layer that you can work on. So like the background that I'm now moving down is more of an image layer because it's the background. You can also go here. So filter layers, we have filters that you add. So these are filters, I'll come on them later on. So filter layers, we have the text layer. So when you click on text layers, we have all the text layers down here which you can move and use. We have the shape layer. Sorry for that background noise. It's a car passing by. So with this, it gives you the what? Shape layer. So it depends on what you need. And if you don't want to filter the layers, you can just leave it as it is. And if you are working on many, as I said, there is also the group function which helps you to be able to identify what you are working on or to organize your work. So let me group all the rectangles. and after grouping it, I'll just rename the group to rectangle. So renaming is very important, because searching through a lot of work without renaming, you are going to suffer with it. So it's good to organize your work. Shapes, not shapes at one side, but objects that are at one particular place, that you are working with them together, you group them. So on the flyer side, you get more light on this. So the text too, I'll group that one too. So just group, then text. So with this one, if I click on rectangle, okay, I wasn't able to select. So to group, you select all those you are grouping with. So I'll select this, select that, and select this, then group it. So if you're hiding, you hide them. So if you're adding objects to a group, so since I did not add them earlier, I'll just select them, click on shift. So after selecting them, you just drag them over the group, and you see a blue line hovering over the blue. So it shows that it's landing inside. So when you put them inside, they are all now together. So you realize that I'm able to get rid of them, and I can work on whatever that is there because they are in a group. And the text too, I can do likewise. And moving them, we have the two types of moves. We have group move and we have the layer move. So when it's group move, you just click here, then you move them. So all those in that group, you are able to move them, you're able to resize them, and you can apply effects on them. And it's likewise with the text too. But you can also work on individual layers when they are grouped together. You just go to layer, then you're able to work on individual layers. So basically, that's the grouping aspect of it. And there are a whole lot of menus here which I will not explain much. So these ones are what you can work on. So group on group, duplicate, layer styles, and others. So I'll explain these concepts in the later videos when we are working on flyers and posters. For now, let's leave it out for that. So that's just basically what layers are and what you can do with layers and on layers. And the last part which I forgot to add was adding a new layer. So you can add a new layer here and brush on it. So let me use the brush to B. So if I brush on it, use the brush size here. Okay. So whatever I draw here, I'm drawing it on the layer which is selected. So this layer is where I'm drawing it on. And when you click here, you have a new layer to yourself, a new shape. So whatever shape you are drawing, you have it over there. And it can also move like the other layers. So basically that's how you work. So if you're adding a new shape you want to draw, you just simply click on new layer down here, then you have it to yourself. The filters and everything, I said I'll explain them later on. So if you add a solid color, if you want to add gradient, so gradient background, and in Photoshop cc2020 there are inbuilt gradients which are very good to use. That's why I prefer it to the older versions. We can also add pattern, and depending on the type that you are using, the patterns differs. And you have your backgrounds there for you. So thank you for watching this video. I hope it helped you, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's your way of also supporting me and encouraging me to do more work and to do more for you. So till I see you in the next video, is bye. And don't forget to practice all that I teach. Whatever that I'm doing here, practice is very, very important. So See you in the next video. Bye.